The city, a sprawling beast of glass and steel, exhales its humid breath into the deepening twilight. But here, within the cavernous embrace of the midnight trading floor with dead screens, only a cool, metallic stillness lingers. You trace the dust motes dancing in the single shaft of light that slices through a grimy window. A silent ballet in the sepulchral air. Your existence has become a tapestry woven with these quiet threads. A deliberate withdrawal from the clamor that once defined your every waking moment. The screens, row upon desolate row, reflect nothing but your own distorted image. A phantom amidst the ghosts of fortunes lost and won. They are monuments to a past era, their dark faces like silent judges, their power cords severed long ago, leaving them as mere husks. You run a calloused thumb over the cool, slick surface of a console. The phantom hum of 1,000 frantic voices, a distant, mocking echo in your memory. This place, once the epicenter of frantic ambition, now serves as your sanctuary, a tomb for the man you once were. Marcus Kane. A half-empty mug of lukewarm coffee sits beside a scattered collection of worn blueprints on a makeshift table crafted from discarded pallets. The faint scent of stale paper and industrial cleaning solvent clings to the air, mingling with the metallic tang of the city's breath seeping in from cracks in the vast concrete shell. Your current obsession, a meticulous re-examination of old cold cases, unfolds across the table, each faded photograph and handwritten note a whisper from a forgotten world. You find solace in the stark logic of patterns, the way evidence, however fragmented, can still weave a narrative. Its static-laced image flickers to life, a garish splash of color against the monochrome expanse of the dead screens. You flinch, your hand instinctively reaching for the remote, a phantom weight of a service weapon still lingering in your grip. A reporter, her face grim beneath a carefully coiffed blonde bob, speaks with a practiced urgency. Her words, though muffled by the poor reception, cut through the cavernous space like shards of glass. High-profile art heist. The city's most prestigious gallery. A security guard confirmed dead. Your breath catches, held captive in your chest. The blueprints on the table suddenly seem trivial, meaningless. You lean closer, your eyes fixed on the flickering screen, the reporter's voice sharpening into an unwelcome clarity. Police confirm the theft of the priceless Serpent's Kiss diamond, along with several other irreplaceable pieces. The deceased has been identified as Mr. Elias Thorne, a veteran security officer. A knot tightens in your gut. Elias Thorne. You remember him. A quiet man with kind eyes who always offered a nod of recognition when your path crossed his during your former life. He had a meticulous air about him, a dedication that bordered on reverence for the art he protected. The reporter continues, her voice now laced with a dramatic pause. And in a stunning development, sources within the investigation indicate a prime suspect has been identified. Law enforcement is reportedly seeking Clara Kane. The name hits you like a physical blow. Clara, your sister. The world tilts on its axis, the carefully constructed walls of your isolation crumbling into dust. The air grows thick, suffocating. A thief? A murderer? The notion is absurd, impossible. Yet the reporter's words hang in the air, heavy and undeniable. You remember Clara's last call? A brief, strained conversation about a gallery opening, her voice distant, tinged with a familiar weariness. You had dismissed it then, another ripple in the ever-widening chasm between you. Now that memory twists into something sinister, a premonition you had failed to heed. A tremor runs through you, a sensation akin to an old, half-healed wound tearing open anew. Your past, the very reason you sought refuge in this forgotten corner of the city, begins to claw its way back. Your gaze sweeps across the dead screens, their vacant faces mocking your shattered peace. The city outside still hums, oblivious to the seismic shift within you. You had distanced yourself, built a fortress of solitude, believing it was for the best, for her safety, for your own sanity. But now, he's caught in a maelstrom, accused of a heinous crime, and the fortress feels less like protection and more like a cage you've built around yourself, locking her out. The quiet life you'd painstakingly carved out, the meticulous pursuit of forgotten truths, all of it evaporates. You cannot, will not, let your sister face this alone. The ghost of Marcus Kane, the disgraced detective, begins to stir, his eyes now fixed not on the dead screens, but on the labyrinthine heart of the city, a place you had sworn never to re-enter. The name Clara, a splintered shard in your mind, rips through the quiet hum of your solitude. The screen's stark image, a grainy mugshot, mocks the peace you'd painstakingly built. Disbelief claws at your throat, thick and bitter. A thief? A murderer? The notion, grotesque and impossible, ignites a dormant fire within you, a cold fury that thrums beneath your skin. You grip the edge of the desk, knuckles stark white against the scarred wood, the sudden urge to move, to act, a visceral command. The city outside is a blur of neon and rain as your car cuts through the night. Each street lamp that streaks past feels like an accusation, a silent judgment from the world you'd abandoned. The familiar route to the central holding facility, a hulking edifice of concrete and reinforced steel, feels like a journey through time. A phantom limb aching with memories of past investigations, triumphs, and ultimately, your fall. The air in the car is heavy with unspoken questions, with the ghost of a sister you barely recognized in the news footage. The corridors, once a second home, now feel alien, the fluorescent lights humming with an unsettling indifference. You walk with a deliberate stride, a practiced mask of impassivity fixed upon your features, but every glance from a passing uniform feels like a barb, a whisper of the disgrace that still shadows your name. Kane, what brings you back to the land of the living? The voice, rough as gravel, belongs to an old colleague, a detective with eyes that have seen too much and judged even more. He stands by a water cooler, a paper cup crushed in his hand, his posture radiating suspicion. You meet his gaze, unwavering. I'm here to see Clara. A sardonic laugh escapes him, a dry, rasping sound. Oh, the sister. Right. We've got her tucked away. Prime suspect in the Kestrel art heist. Quite the piece of work, your family. Didn't you teach her better? The words are a blow, intended to wound, to provoke. You feel the heat rise in your chest, but you hold it back, a tight rein on the tempest within. She's not a thief. You know that. Do I? He counters, stepping closer, his breath smelling of cheap coffee and stale cigarettes. The evidence says otherwise, Marcus. We found her print on the display case clear as day, and a witness saw her fleeing the scene. Open and shut, my friend. Let the system do its job. It's better for everyone. His words, meant to dissuade, only fuel the fire. The system, in his view, was a blunt instrument, and you knew its flaws intimately. Clara sits at a metal table, her hands clasped, her eyes wide and haunted. The vibrant spark you remembered from childhood has been dimmed, replaced by a fragile vulnerability that tears at something deep inside you. Her hair, usually a cascade of fiery auburn, is lank and dull, clinging to her face. They say I did it, and killed the curator. Her eyes, once so full of life, brim with unshed tears. You know I wouldn't. You know me. You pull out the chair opposite her, the scrape of metal on concrete echoing in the small space. Tell me everything, Clara. From the beginning. I was there, she begins, her voice trembling, at the gallery opening. Just looking. I love that painting, Marcus. I dreamed of seeing it up close. Then the alarms went off and there was chaos. Everyone was running. I ran too. I was scared, so scared. She looks at you, her plea raw and desperate. I didn't steal anything. I didn't hurt anyone. Just a glimpse. I swear, Marcus, I swear I'm innocent. They're trying to pin this on me. Please, you have to believe me. The detective's sneer, the official narrative, it all clashes with the genuine fear radiating from your sister. He was many things. Impulsive, perhaps reckless. But a killer? A calculating thief? No, that was not the Clara you knew. As you step back into the sterile corridor, the detective from earlier is waiting, a smug look on his face. Learned anything enlightening, Kane? Or is blood thicker than logic? You ignore his taunt, your gaze distant, already sifting through Clara's words, the gaps, the details. The witness, you say, your voice flat, who saw her fleeing. Where was this witness positioned? He shrugs, an infuriating gesture. Standard procedure. Provided a statement. Look, Marcus, don't make this harder than it has to be. Go home. Forget about it. But forgetting is no longer an option. The plea in Clara's eyes, the conviction in her voice, has irrevocably shattered the fragile peace of your exile. You nod, a silent acknowledgement of the battle ahead. I won't. The night outside has deepened, the rain now a relentless drumming against the city. You drive not home, but towards the forgotten corners of the urban sprawl, a place where secrets linger like static electricity in the air. The car eventually finds its way to a deserted industrial district, a landscape of forgotten ambitions and hushed transactions. You walk towards the building's rear, a small, unmarked door that used to be a point of entry for a different life. A life you thought you'd buried. The lock, old and stubborn, yields with a familiar click. This place, once vibrant with the pulse of commerce, is now a desolate echo chamber. You sit in a swivel chair, its leather cracked and worn, pulling out the small, smudged photo of Clara from your wallet. Her desperate plea echoes in the dead air. The official narrative might be neat, convenient, but the truth, you realize, is a far more tangled, treacherous beast. And you, Marcus Kane, are about to hunt it down. The city's pulse, usually a frantic thrum, now beats a slow, heavy rhythm against the silence of the deserted industrial district. Your car, a ghost in the rain-slicked night, navigates a maze of shadowed warehouses, their corrugated iron skins weeping rust. This is where the city's true work is done, far from the polished towers, where the light of the law often flickers and dies. You pull up to a fenced-off complex, a sprawling skeletal structure that once hummed with the frantic energy of commerce. Now, only a single weak floodlight casts a sickly yellow glow over a guard booth slumped and weary, sits within. You cut the engine, the sudden quiet a stark contrast to the relentless drumming of the rain on the roof. Your gaze, sharp and assessing, sweeps over the scene, cataloging the broken window in the distant office block, the faint outline of official tape fluttering like a tattered flag, a slow, deliberate knock on the glass of the booth. The old watchman inside startles, his eyes, roomy and distant, struggling to focus. Recognition dawns, a faint flicker of memory in their depths. A silent, knowing nod passes between you. He fumbles with a heavy ring of keys, the metallic jingle a stark announcement in the quiet night, and the rusted gate creaks open. A reluctant sigh in the wind. No words are exchanged, only the silent language of shared history and unspoken understanding. Inside, the complex is a mausoleum of ambition. Your footsteps echo on the concrete floor, a solitary percussion in the vast emptiness. You navigate through a labyrinth of empty cubicles, past overturned chairs and discarded coffee cups, the detritus of lives interrupted. The path leads you deeper, to the heart of what was once a financial hub, now a stage for a forgotten drama. Rows upon rows of workstations, their keyboards still, their mice unmoving, create a landscape of arrested time. The official police tape, a vibrant yellow against the gloom, cordons off the central area, a stark barrier to the scene of the crime. You duck beneath the tape, your movements fluid, practiced. Your penlight dances across the floor, revealing the fine dust that coats everything. An undisturbed canvas now marred by the heavy boot prints of official investigators. But your eyes, honed by years of sifting through deception, seek something more. The official report, a summary you'd managed to skim through a nervous colleague's tablet, spoke of forced entry through a rear service door and a professional breach of the main vault. Your light finds that service door, its hinges twisted, its frame splintered, a convincing tableau of violence. Yet, as you run your gloved fingers over the jagged edges of the wood, you feel a subtle smoothness, a lack of raw splintering that betrays an artifice. This wasn't a brutal single-force entry. This was staged. The damage, while severe, feels too precise, too theatrical. You move towards the vault, a massive steel behemoth that dominates one end of the floor. Its primary locking mechanism, according to the report, was expertly bypassed. Your light crawls over the intricate tumblers, the heavy bolts. Indeed, there are no visible scratches, no drill marks, no obvious signs of a brute force attack. It is eerily pristine. Yet as your beam sweeps lower, it catches on a subtle discoloration, a faint, almost invisible char mark near a secondary access panel, barely larger than a thumbprint. It's not mentioned in the report. This isn't the mark of a skilled safecracker. This speaks of something more sophisticated, perhaps even an energy-based breach, quick and silent, leaving minimal trace. The police, you realize, were looking for the wrong kind of ghost. A sudden, sharp cough echoes from the entrance to the trading floor, making you freeze. The heavy tread of boots approaches, slow and deliberate. Kane. Should have known you'd be sniffing around. The voice is gravelly, laced with a weariness you know well. He steps into the faint light, his silhouette broad and imposing, a steaming cup held loosely in his hand. His gaze, though tired, holds a familiar sharpness as it fixes on you. Just taking a walk, you reply, your voice a low rasp, emerging from the gloom. Thought I'd enjoy the scenery. He snorts, a puff of steam rising from his cup. Scenery's been picked clean, Marcus. Nothing for you here. Go home. You're not on the force anymore. You're a liability. My sister's a suspect, you counter, the words tight, a steel edge to your voice. That makes it my business. He takes a long, slow sip, his eyes never leaving yours. Clara? It's a mess, Marcus. A professional job. Too clean, too quiet. No witnesses, no alarms triggered until after they were gone. The usual suspects, they don't work like this. They leave a trail of broken glass and shouted threats. This was different. He gestures vaguely towards the vault, the char mark still hidden from his view. They found a strange residue, like nothing we've seen before. Didn't make it into the official report yet. Labs still scratching their heads. Said it was ephemeral. Disappeared almost as quickly as they found it. Like a ghost leaving a fingerprint. A ghost. Ephemeral. You think of the stage door, the precise char on the vault. A different kind of perpetrator. Not the brute force, but something almost invisible. Get out of here, Marcus, the detective says, his voice softening, a hint of the old camaraderie beneath the stern warning. Before you make things worse, for both of us. You nod, a silent acknowledgement. He's given you more than he intended. The ghost and the ephemeral residue, combined with the staged entry and the subtle char, paint a picture far more complex than the official narrative. You have your first threads. You slip back beneath the tape, leaving the detective to his solitary vigil. The rain has lessened to a soft drizzle as you exit the complex, the city's distant glow a smear of orange against the dark sky. The old watchman is already asleep again, oblivious. You drive away, the image of the dead screens and the cryptic words of your former partner burning in your mind. The path ahead is shrouded in mist, but you now have a faint, unsettling direction. The footprints, though ephemeral, have been made. You slip back beneath the tape, the synthetic barrier a whisper against your jacket, leaving the scene of the crime to the lingering scent of ozone and the silent judgment of the empty room. The detective, a silhouette against the flashing lights of the distant city, watches your retreat. He's given you more than he intended. The ghost, the ephemeral residue, the staged entry, the subtle char. Each a faint brushstroke in a portrait of deception, far more intricate than the official narrative would allow. The street lamps cast long, skeletal shadows as you move, your mind a churning vortex of possibilities. The stolen pieces, not merely valuable, but historically significant. Their acquisition speaks not of simple greed, but of a calculated dismantling of cultural heritage. Only a specific breed of collector, or rather, a specific breed of handler for such collectors, would involve themselves in such a high-stakes game. Your thoughts drift to a name, a shadow from your past investigations, a purveyor of the illicit, known for his discretion and his network, the fence. Each turn of the wheel is a step deeper into its corrupt heart. He wasn't a kingpin, but a crucial cog, a spider at the edge of a vast web. Your destination leads you to the financial district, a place usually bustling with frantic energy, now eerily quiet beneath the cloak of midnight. You find the entrance, an unassuming side door beside a defunct ATM, leading into what was once a bustling hub of commerce. The air inside is stale, thick with the phantom scent of ambition and desperation. The vastness of the room swallows the sound, making your presence feel insignificant, a tiny ripple in a dead ocean. You spot him, a figure hunched over a flickering tablet at a desk tucked away in the corner. A lone island of faint light amidst the digital graveyard. He's thinner than you remember, his face etched with deeper lines, his eyes darting nervously. Too much heat. He takes a slow breath, his gaze shifting to the dead screens around them as if seeking an escape. They're not just missing, Marcus. They were taken. He leans back, a nervous habit, his fingers drumming a silent rhythm on the table. I hear things. This wasn't a job for the usual players. The way it was handled, surgical, clean, too clean. He pauses, his gaze locking with yours, a flicker of genuine fear in their depths. There's a group, organized, beyond anything I've seen in years. They operate with a kind of quiet authority. They don't leave loose ends. They don't leave witnesses. They move like smoke, Marcus. Leave no trace. And they have reach. Deep reach. It's about power, and whoever is behind it, they're playing a different game entirely, a much bigger game. The Ghost. A group that leaves no trace, a ghost of an entry. And not the kind you can climb out of with just a badge and a gun. This isn't your old city anymore. The rules have changed. The initial heist, an act of calculated precision, now unfurls into something far more sinister. Your sister, caught in the crosshairs, is not just a suspect in a simple robbery. He's tangled in the threads of a much larger, more dangerous tapestry, woven by an unseen hand. The scale of the crime has just exploded. This isn't a simple smash and grab. The determination in your gut hardens, an unyielding resolve. You are no longer just clearing Clara's name. You are stepping onto a battlefield you didn't even know existed. The weight of the warning settles upon your shoulders like a shroud woven from shadows and whispered threats. The air, thick with the ghosts of frantic deals and lost fortunes, chills your skin. The colleague who delivered the stark message, his face a mask of weary caution, gestures with a subtle flick of his chin towards a cluster of inactive terminals. Some things just sleep. He offers no further explanation, his eyes scanning the periphery, a silent signal that his presence here, with you, is a dangerous indulgence. Then, with a phantom quickness, he melts back into the deeper gloom, leaving you alone with the spectral glow of the deactivated monitors. You move towards the indicated section, each step echoing too loudly on the polished floor. There's no obvious sign, no blinking light, no stray power cable. But your gaze, honed by years of sifting through the city's detritus, catches a slight discoloration on the desk beneath one of the screens. A faint, almost invisible residue, like fine ash, yet too uniform to be mere grime. You scrape a minute sample onto your thumb. Not ash, not dust. It possesses a strange metallic sheen under the dim, ambient light. You crouch, examining the base of the monitor, your breath held. The subtle, telltale sign of tampering. A tiny, almost imperceptible scratch on the casing near the power port. It's the kind of mark left by a specialized tool, a precise instrument designed to bypass security protocols, not a clumsy break-in. This isn't just a dead screen, it's a dormant weapon. Your fingers work with a practiced economy, searching for what your gut insists must be there. Behind the main frame, tucked into a barely visible recess, a small, flat device is magnetically clamped. It's no larger than your palm, a sleek black rectangle with a single, almost imperceptible indicator light that pulses a dull crimson. A data siphon. It's been draining information, not from this terminal, but using it as a relay, a ghost in the machine. You pull the device free, its surface cool against your skin. Connecting it to the secure reader you carry, a relic from your old life, you watch as a stream of data spills across the small screen. A series of access points, a sequence of data packets, all routed through a public network, then anonymized, before converging on a single secure server. And then, the final crucial detail. A small, almost hidden folder, labeled with an innocuous string of alphanumeric characters. You recognize the encryption protocol. It's the same obscure proprietary system used by the city's municipal finance department. The very one that had been compromised during the scandal that ended your career. This isn't just a coincidence. The precise timing of the data transfer, coinciding with the art heist, the method of digital infiltration, the specific data points siphoned. It all speaks a language you understand intimately. A dialect of digital treachery. You delve deeper into the logs within the siphon. They aren't from Clara. They are about Clara. A sequence of instructions detailing movements, timings, even specific items to be found in her apartment. A blueprint for a perfect frame-up. The data siphon wasn't just stealing information, it was planting it. It was creating a digital breadcrumb trail, meticulously leading straight to your sister. You see it all with brutal clarity. The way the heist was executed, seemingly with Clara's characteristic flair for the dramatic, but with just enough sloppiness to leave a trail. The carefully placed clues that the city's detectives would inevitably stumble upon. It's a masterpiece of misdirection, designed not just to convict, but to incriminate her beyond doubt, to make her the undeniable isolated fall guy, the metallic residue on the desk. You now understand. It's a trace of the specialized conductive paste used to create a temporary, untraceable connection, allowing the siphon to operate without leaving a physical footprint until it was later removed. Someone had been here, in this very spot, meticulously setting the stage. The patterns from your past case flash before your eyes. The manipulated evidence, the carefully orchestrated leaks to the press, the way the truth was twisted into a convenient fiction. The same invisible hand that had once reached out and crushed your reputation now sought to ensnare your sister. The corruption that had ruined your career was not a past event. It was a living, breathing entity, reaching its tendrils into the present, weaving a new web of deceit. This isn't just about clearing Clara's name anymore. This is about confronting the ghost that haunts your own past, about dismantling the very architects of your disgrace. You have found the evidence. Now you must find the architect. The air, thick with the ghosts of forgotten transactions, now hums with a different kind of current, a nascent dread that prickles the skin. A faint click, distinct from the building's settling groans, slices through the quiet. It originates from the main entrance, a heavy steel door that should have remained sealed. The metallic scent of dust and stale coffee mingles with the sharp tang of ozone from the silent electronics. Footfalls, measured and deliberate, begin to advance across the polished concrete. Two figures, silhouettes against the distant glow of the city through the high windows, glide with an unsettling grace. They carry no flashlights, their eyes accustomed to the gloom, or perhaps they simply possess the confidence of predators in their own domain. You discern the bulk of a shoulder holster on one, the glint of a polished buckle on the other. Not city patrol. These are different, more precise, moving with the practiced choreography of enforcers. Your hand drifts to the worn leather of your own concealed weapon. A familiar comfort, a promise of resistance. They are hunting you. One of the figures, broader than his companion, pauses by a row of partitioned desks, his head cocked, listening. You hold your breath, a burning ache in your lungs. A loose floorboard groans beneath your weight. The sound is barely perceptible, a whisper in the vastness, but the figure's head snaps in your direction. A low growl escapes his throat, and he raises an arm, pointing. Kane, a voice rough as gravel cuts through the stillness. We know you're here. Don't make this difficult. The second figure, leaner and quicker, begins to circle, attempting to flank you. You are trapped between their methodical advance and the sheer wall of the trading floor. A desperate inventory of escape routes flashes through your mind. The fire exit at the far end, likely locked or monitored. The windows too high, too exposed. You would not be taken quietly. Just as the broader agent rounds the corner of your makeshift cover, a sudden, blinding flash erupts from above. The agents recoil, momentarily stunned, their hands flying to shield their eyes. Hey, muscleheads! A voice, surprisingly clear and sharp, cuts through the strobe's assault. Looking for something? You seize the moment, rolling low, away from your position, toward the relative obscurity of a server rack. The strobe continues its relentless pulse, painting the scene in stark, fractured tableau. You glimpse her then. A woman, perched precariously on a catwalk high above. A compact, professional camera clutched in one hand, the other manipulating the strobe. Him's silhouette is lean, him posture defiant. Who the hell is that? The broader agent snarls, his voice laced with frustrated rage, his eyes still adjusting. A friend of Marcus Kane's, apparently, the woman calls down, his voice echoing with a touch of bravado. And I've got a lot of questions about your operation. He launches something small and metallic. It clatters across the floor, sparking, then releases a thick, acrid smoke that quickly billows, obscuring vision. A tactical diversion. You recognize the efficiency, the audacity. This is no random bystander. The agents cough, their movements becoming less coordinated as the smoke fills the space. Find her, the broader one commands, his voice muffled. You don't hesitate. Down here, you shout, hoping to draw their attention away from the catwalk. You burst from cover, sprinting toward a service corridor you noticed earlier, a narrow passage behind the main server banks. The smoke, now dense and choking, provides perfect cover. You hear the agents crashing through the cubicles, their frustration palpable. You reach the service corridor, fumbling for the handle, finding it unlocked. The air is slightly clearer here, though the acrid smell persists. Just as you slip inside, a figure drops from the catwalk with surprising agility, landing softly beside you. It's the woman, her hair pulled back in a practical ponytail, her eyes sharp and assessing. He carries a small, sturdy backpack. You're Marcus Kane, he states, not a question, his breath coming in short, controlled gasps. And those goons work for the consortium, don't they? The ones tied to the recent disappearances, the financial irregularities, and now this art heist. You stare at her, your guard still up, adrenaline singing in your veins. "Who are you?" "Lena," she replies, extending a hand, not for a shake, but a gesture of intent. "Investigative journalist. I've been tracking their activities for months. Your sister Clara's arrest? It's not just about a painting, is it?" She knows. She's pieced together parts of the puzzle you're still struggling with. The missing pieces in the city's grim tapestry. How do you know about the consortium? You press, your voice low, suspicion warring with a dawning realization. "Let's just say I've been digging into some very unsavory connections between certain high-profile individuals." Lena explains, her eyes darting to the corridor ahead. When Clara's name surfaced, it clicked. The pattern of their operations, Marcus. The art heist is just another cog in their machine to gain leverage, to control narratives, to distract from something much bigger. You weigh her words, the truth in them resonating with your own fragmented discoveries. The pieces she offers, seemingly disparate, suddenly begin to coalesce, forming a more sinister picture. He is a wild card, an unknown variable, but her intelligence is undeniable, her conviction palpable. And she just saved you from a very unpleasant encounter. "All right, Lena," you concede, a reluctant alliance forming in the crucible of shared peril. "What do you have? And where do we go from here?" A faint shout echoes from the trading floor, the agents still searching, their anger growing. Lena gestures down the corridor. "I know a way out, and I have evidence, Marcus. Evidence that points to a systemic corruption far beyond a single art theft. Evidence that suggests Clara is just a pawn, caught in a web spun by truly powerful spiders. The danger is immediate, tangible, but the revelation she offers, the possibility of understanding the true scope of the conspiracy, is a lure you cannot resist. The city's underbelly, once a familiar landscape, now twists into a labyrinth of unknown dimensions, and Lena holds a thread that might lead through it. You follow her. The echo of the agent's frustrated roars a testament to the fragile, desperate alliance that has just been forged. The thread Lena offered, a slender whisper against the city's roar, pulled you deeper into its shadowed heart. You moved through the midnight streets, the chill air a constant companion. Lena a silhouette beside you, her steps light, purposeful. The air grew heavy with anticipation as you approached the district. You found the entrance Lena indicated, a side door swallowed by the gloom, its lock a defeated relic. A vast expanse stretched before you, a graveyard of ambition. Cables, thick as serpents, lay coiled and scattered, remnants of a frenzied past. It felt like walking through the fossilized remains of a monstrous, extinct beast. She pointed to a cluster of desks tucked away in a corner, beneath a massive blank data wall. The screens here, unlike the others, were not simply off. They were shattered, their delicate crystal veins spiderwebbed into intricate patterns, as if struck by a sudden, violent rage. Its surface was cool against your fingers, its weight insignificant, yet you knew, with a primal certainty, that it held immense gravity. This was the core, the marrow of the conspiracy. You connected it to the secure, encrypted laptop you always carried, a ghost from your old life. The screen flickered to life, revealing its contents. Folders upon folders, meticulously organized, yet screaming of illicit dealings. There were financial ledgers, dense with coded transactions, shell companies weaving a web across borders. There were encrypted communications, a dizzying exchange of directives and confirmations. And then, a series of files explicitly detailing the art heist. Not just the plan, but the buyers, the fences, and most damningly, the ultimate beneficiary. The esteemed public servant, the voice of civic pride, was at the heart of this rot. The evidence was irrefutable, an ironclad testament to his corruption. A viper coiled at the city's very throat. A sudden, sharp crack echoed from the main entrance, slicing through the quiet. It was the distinct sound of a door being forced. Not a subtle pick, but a brutal breach. Your head snapped up, eyes scanning the desolate landscape of dead screens. They knew. Or they suspected. "Move," you urged Lena, grabbing her arm. Your old instincts flared, sharp and unforgiving. The silence was shattered again, this time by the heavy thud of multiple boots on concrete growing closer. They were not police, not in uniform. Their movements were fluid, predatory. "This way," Lena hissed, pulling you towards a service stairwell at the far end of the floor. You sprinted, the laptop clutched in your free hand, the solid-state drive a burning coal in your pocket. Shots rang out, the sharp reports echoing deafeningly off the glass and steel, tearing through the air where you had just stood. A monitor exploded into a shower of sparks and glass shards beside you. You returned fire, aiming for center mass, the recoil a jolt through your arm. The others, undeterred, pressed their attack, their numbers overwhelming. You reached the stairwell, Lena pushing the door open, but as you turned to follow, a searing pain erupted in your side. A bullet, a white-hot brand, tore through your flesh. You grunted, stumbling, but kept moving. "Go, Marcus!" Lena shouted, pushing you through the doorway, but then a sickening thud. She cried out, a strangled gasp, and crumpled. Another shot. This one meant for you found her instead. Her eyes wide with shock and pain met yours. You spun, firing wildly, forcing the enforcers to take cover, buying precious seconds. You scooped Lena into your arms, her body surprisingly light, a fragile burden. Her breath came in ragged gasps, her face pale. You descended the grimy stairwell, each step a jarring agony. The laptop still clutched in one hand, Lena's weight a crushing testament to the price of this pursuit. The metallic tang of blood filled your senses, your own and hers. The city outside, once a familiar adversary, now felt like a living entity, its teeth bared. You had the evidence, the undeniable truth, but you carried it with a terrible personal cost. The thread Lena offered had led to a knife's edge, and now her life hung by that very thread. The labyrinth had just claimed its first cruel payment. Lena moved ahead, her silhouette etched against the faint blue glow of a distant security light, her steps echoing in the vast, silent chamber. The space stretched before you, a necropolis of dormant ambition. Dust motes danced in the slivers of moonlight that pierced the grime-streaked windows, creating an ethereal ballet above the silent keyboards. A metallic tang, like old copper and ozone, clung to the air, a ghost of countless transactions. "This is it," Lena murmured, her voice unnaturally low, almost a hiss in the cavernous room, where the real deals are cut, away from prying eyes. You swept your gaze across the desolate landscape. No hum of servers, no frantic tapping, just an oppressive quiet that pressed in on your ears. What fortune could be found here in this graveyard of commerce? It pulsed with a steady, rhythmic green light, an anomaly in this field of dead monitors. "What is that?" you asked, your voice a low rumble. A prickle of unease traced its way up your spine. Lena had been too calm, too certain. The thread she offered, it felt less like guidance and more like a leash. Lena didn't answer immediately. She stopped, her back to you, her shoulders rigid. The green light from the distant screen cast a faint, sickly glow, painting her outline with an unsettling hue. A new scent reached you then, sharp and acrid. Fresh ozone, not stale. The silence stretched, taut as a wire. A calculating glint. "Marcus," she began, her voice devoid of its usual warmth. "You always were too good at seeing the cracks, too good at finding the truth no one wanted to face." The words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken meaning. This wasn't a discovery. It was an ambush. Your gaze flicked past her to the corners of the vast room, searching for movement, for the trap you now knew was sprung. "What are you talking about?" you demanded, your voice tight. "Your sister. The heist." It's all connected, of course. Not one figure, but two. The second, stepping into the weak light, was a face you knew. A face you had trusted implicitly years ago, when the badge still meant something. "The captain," you breathed, the name a bitter taste on your tongue. His eyes, usually sharp and commanding, were now flat, devoid of the respect they once held for you. Lena, the captain. The pieces clicked into place with sickening clarity. All of it. For this. You gestured vaguely at the desolate floor, the glowing screen, the conspirators. Clara was a convenient pawn, Lena interjected, her voice now crisp, professional. A necessary distraction. The real prize was never the art, Marcus. It was the data. She nodded towards the glowing terminal. The access codes, the city's financial backbone. Every transaction, every asset, every vulnerability, all of it laid bare. Your eyes darted to the screen. Intricate lines of code scrolled rapidly, too fast to decipher, but the implications were horrifying. This wasn't a simple art heist, it was a digital coup. A complete takeover of the city's financial infrastructure. "Who are you working for?" you demanded, your voice raw with fury and the pain of betrayal. The captain chuckled, a dry, humorless sound. "For the future, Marcus. For order. This city is a festering wound, bloated with corruption and incompetence. We are simply excising the rot." "And replacing it with your own brand of tyranny?" You scoffed, your grip tightening on your weapon. "A necessary transition," Lena stated, her gaze unwavering. The true mastermind understands that power isn't just about money, but about control, about shaping the narrative, about rebuilding from the ground up. She paused, a glint of triumph in her eyes. "You see, Marcus, the art was merely a key, a diversion for the public, while the real target, the city's digital vault, was breached. And the mastermind? You pushed, your mind racing, trying to find a way out, a way to stop this. Someone who understands the true levers of power, someone who sees the grand design." He paused, letting the suspense hang heavy. "The city's commissioner. He built this house of cards, and now he intends to rebuild it in his own image." The name hit you with the force of a tidal wave. The commissioner. The man who had presided over your disgrace. The untouchable pillar of the city's elite. The full, horrifying scope of the conspiracy unfurled before you. A meticulously planned coup, orchestrated from the very top, using the police force as a shield, the art heist as a smokescreen, and your own sister as a scapegoat. The Commissioner. The name echoes in the silent chamber of your skull, a discordant gong against the fragile peace you once sought. It strips away the last vestiges of doubt, painting the world in stark, unforgiving shades of betrayal. The city, a beast you once swore to protect, now bares its teeth, its fangs sharpened by the very hands meant to uphold its laws. Your disgrace, a carefully constructed lie, a prelude to this grand, grotesque drama. Your sister, Clara, a pawn in a game played by titans. The weight of it settles on your shoulders, a granite shroud, threatening to crush the breath from your lungs. Each inhale is a struggle against the suffocating truth. Each exhale a silent scream into the void. You find yourself drawn to the skeletal remains of ambition, a place where fortunes once surged and crumbled with the flick of a finger. The air hangs heavy with the scent of stale coffee and desperation, a familiar perfume in your new solitary world. The city's pulse, usually a frantic drumbeat against your temples, now feels distant, muffled, as if you stand beneath an ocean of concrete and steel. They are everywhere, and you are nowhere. Clara's image flickers, a beacon of vulnerability, her eyes wide with a fear you know too well. Her freedom, her very life, now rests entirely in your calloused hands. You cannot fail her. You cannot succumb to the suffocating embrace of this grand, insidious lie. This, then, is your last stand, Marcus Kane. Your final, desperate gamble against the forces that seek to consume you both. Clara's frantic call, her hushed words about a hidden compartment, a false bottom in the antique frame. The art heist wasn't about the masterpieces themselves. It was a surgical strike for something far more valuable, far more damning. A ledger, perhaps. A digital key. Something that could unravel the entire edifice of their power, exposing the rot that festered at the city's very core. This is the true prize, the silent weapon they sought to bury. If they believe you possess this knowledge, this ghost in the machine, they will come for you. They must. You, Marcus Kane, will become the lure, the living, breathing proof that the truth is out there waiting to be unearthed. This is the only way. The trap must be a public spectacle, a forced hand, a moment where their corruption bleeds into the light for all to see. Not a quiet ambush in a forgotten alley, but a confrontation that demands witnesses, even unwitting ones. You will make them overreach. You will make them expose themselves. The plan begins to coalesce, each piece clicking into place with grim precision, a complex clockwork designed for a single devastating purpose. Your fingers trace the dust motes dancing in the faint light, mapping out the intricate dance of betrayal on the grimy surface of a dead monitor. You need an audience, a silent, unseen jury. The city itself will be your stage, its sprawling network of surveillance cameras, its ceaseless chatter, its insatiable hunger for scandal, your unwitting chroniclers. The first thread of the web is spun. A carefully crafted message, encrypted and anonymized, begins its slow crawl through the city's digital veins. Not a direct accusation, but a tantalizing hint, a breadcrumb leading to the true nature of the stolen art. You send it into the ether, a tiny ripple in the vast ocean of information, knowing it will soon become a tidal wave. You watch the dead screens, their surfaces reflecting not your image, but the nascent shape of your desperate gamble. Clara's face flashes behind your eyes, her innocent bewilderment, her plea for help. This is for her. This is for the city. And perhaps, this is for the ghost of the man you once were. The stakes are everything. Your freedom, her future, your very life. But the alternative, a silent surrender to their corruption, a life lived under the thumb of those who broke you, is a fate far worse than any bullet. It is a death of the soul, a slow decay that you refuse to endure. The game has begun. You are the bait, the hunter, and the hunted. And the trap, complex and perilous, is now undeniably set. Each step echoes, a lonely drumbeat against the vast, silent expanse. The air, thick with the scent of old money and forgotten ambitions, clings to your coat. Above, a grid of fluorescent tubes hums a dying song, casting a pale, sickly light that drains the color from the abandoned terminals. Their screens, dark mirrors, reflect your gaunt face, etched with a resolve as brittle and sharp as glass. This is where the city's heart once beat, a frantic rhythm of greed and power, now reduced to a mausoleum of ambition. You are the architect of this reckoning, a single determined figure against a tide of corruption. At their vanguard, the commissioner, his figure a stark silhouette against the emergency exit light. Behind him, two enforcers, their movements fluid, predatory. A moth to a dying flame. He gestures around the desolate floor. Fitting, wouldn't you say? Your career, this place, both relics. You meet his gaze, unwavering. Relics often hold forgotten truths, Commissioner. Your voice, a low rumble, fills the space. Like the truth about Clara and the art heist. The truth about a city choked by its own guardians. He chuckles, a dry, brittle sound. Truth is a malleable thing, Marcus. Especially when spun by a discredited detective. Your sister, I believe, is quite comfortable where he is. She's comfortable because you put her there, you counter. The accusation hanging heavy in the stale air. The stolen artifacts, the carefully staged scene, the planted evidence. A bespoke piece of software designed to bypass specific protocols at the museum. Not something an art restorer would have, but certainly within the capabilities of a department with unlimited resources and a vested interest in a quiet acquisition. One of the enforcers shifts, a subtle twitch of a shoulder. The commissioner's eyes narrow, losing their amusement. You speak in riddles. Do I? You take a slow step forward. Or am I merely connecting the dots you scattered so carelessly? The forgery in the museum vault, a masterstroke designed to buy time. Time for the real paintings to be moved, not to a buyer, but to a private collection. A collection managed by a shell corporation, one with deep, untraceable ties to a few very powerful individuals. Not the one you destroyed, Commissioner, but a copy, hidden, detailed. It outlines the transactions, the names, the dates. It lists the payoffs, the silent partners, the entire network you've built, brick by corrupt brick, using the city's resources as your personal piggy bank. The enforcers tense, their hands drifting towards their waists. The commissioner's eyes, like chips of ice, bore into yours. A ledger? A phantom. You're bluffing, Marcus. You have nothing. I have this. You reach inside your coat, not for a weapon, but for a small, worn device. You activate it. A voice, familiar and authoritative, fills the silent trading floor, echoing from the dead screens. The recording is raw, unedited, a confession laid bare. The commissioner's face drains of all color. The enforcers surge forward, but you are faster. You hurl the device across the floor, sending it skittering under a row of desks, the incriminating words still spilling from its tiny speaker. It's a distraction, a momentary diversion. You spin, ducking under the wild swing of the first enforcer, the air whistling past your ear. You drive your elbow into his ribcage, a sharp crack resounding in the stillness, sending him staggering back. The second enforcer is upon you, a blur of motion. You anticipate his strike, twisting your body, letting his momentum carry him past. You grab a discarded monitor cable, wrapping it around his ankle, yanking hard. He crashes to the ground with a grunt. One, is still active, feeding into an external loop you've set up. It's all on record, Commissioner. Every word, every move. The city will see you for what you truly are. The recording continues its relentless playback, a damning soundtrack to the Commissioner's unraveling. The truth, once buried beneath layers of power and deception, now screams from the silent heart of the midnight trading floor with dead screens demanding its reckoning. Your sister's name, clear and unblemished, begins to emerge from the wreckage. The air in the midnight trading floor with dead screens still hums with the phantom echoes of the Commissioner's confession, a chilling symphony of betrayal and power. Your sister's name, once smeared across front pages and whispered in hushed tones of suspicion, now floats free, a feather released from a cage of concrete. You watch as the truth, brutal and unyielding, settles upon the man who once wielded it as a weapon. His face, a mask of crumbled authority, sags into a landscape of utter defeat. The silence that follows the recording's final click is heavier than any sound, a vacuum pulling all pretense into its gaping maw. Footsteps, deliberate and numerous, shatter the fragile peace. A squad of officers, their faces grim and unfamiliar, sweep into the vast, silent room. They are not the faces you knew, the ones tainted by the Commissioner's insidious network. These wear the badge with a different weight, a sober recognition of the rot they've been sent to excise. The lead officer, a woman with eyes like polished obsidian, approaches the slumped figure of the commissioner. The clink of handcuffs, the hushed commands, the commissioner's vacant stare as he is led away, a ghost of his former self. Your sister Clara stands beside you, her shoulders finally dropping, the tension that had etched itself into her very bones now slowly dissipating. She turns to you, her eyes, once clouded with fear and accusation, now clear, shimmering with an unspoken gratitude that cuts deeper than any words. The faint tremor in her hand as she reaches for yours speaks volumes. You grasp it, a lifeline connecting two souls adrift, now tethered to the shore. The following days unfurl like a slow, painful dawn. The city, stripped bare of its illusions, grapples with the magnitude of the revelations. News cycles churn, analysts dissect, and the public outcry swells into a roaring tide. The conspiracy, reaching into the highest echelons of the city's institutions, unravels thread by painful thread. Names you once knew, faces you once trusted, are dragged into the harsh light, their complicity exposed. The art heist, the framing of Clara, the deeper network of illicit trades and influence peddling, it all connects, a monstrous web spun by greed and power. You spend hours in official debriefings, recounting the journey through the city's underbelly, the desperate chase for truth. The lead officer, the woman with the obsidian eyes, listens intently, her gaze unwavering. There are no apologies offered for the force's past transgressions, no easy words of comfort. Only a quiet, resolute determination to clean house, to mend the fractured trust. You feel the weight of responsibility lift, piece by agonizing piece. The burden of proof, the desperate need to clear Clara, has been met. Clara, though exonerated, carries her own invisible wounds. Yet, a resilience you had long forgotten she possessed shines through. Her apartment, once a sanctuary, then a cage, now slowly transforms back into a space of creation, of healing. One evening, you sit with her on her small balcony. The city lights a distant hum below. The air is cool, carrying the scent of rain. She speaks of her fear, of the crushing despair, of the moments she doubted even you. You listen, truly listen, for the first time in years, without defensiveness, without the shield of your own pride. You confess your own failings, the bitterness that consumed you, the way you let your disgrace define you and push her away, for not being there. It is not a complete healing, not yet. The scars will remain, indelible reminders of the chasm that opened between you. But now, there is a bridge, built brick by painful brick of honesty and shared vulnerability. The City Council launches an independent oversight committee, a promise of reform echoing through the halls of power. The police force, humbled and fractured, begins the arduous task of rebuilding its integrity. You receive an offer, unofficial and discreet, to consult, to help guide the internal investigations, to use your unique understanding of the city's hidden currents. Long walks through forgotten parks, the quiet rhythm of the river, the smell of old books. The badge, once the very emblem of your identity, no longer holds the same allure. Redemption, you realize, is not a return to what was, but an embrace of what can be. It is found not in grand gestures, but in the quiet mending of broken ties, in the pursuit of a peace earned through hardship. One crisp morning, you find yourself at a small, independent gallery, an unassuming space filled with local art. Clara is there, her face alight as she discusses a new piece with the proprietor. She catches your eye, a genuine smile blooming, unburdened. You smile back, a lightness in your chest you haven't felt in years. You are anchored, not by a past you can't reclaim, but by a future you are finally brave enough to build, one quiet, hopeful step at a time. The scars are there, yes, but they tell a story of survival, of a fragile, hard-won peace. This is your redemption, Marcus Kane, not a return to glory, but a quiet, profound journey home.